feel yourself. A moment where you're walking into a room where you don't feel like you belong. I think a healthy, constructive amount of delusion. Not, I am the best and everybody in here should be kissing my feet. Not that. No.
The second road is the hybrid. You do half and half, and then eventually the long-term one pays for the rest of your life. And then you can go all in on it. Or you can do what Kevin and I did, which is jump ship, go all in, and basically almost die. And I said, don't do the third one. I can tell. Like, unless you absolutely have to.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Today, for episode number 1812, I have to adjust that on the fly as well, is delusion ever a good thing? Again, this comes from a conversation I had with a young entrepreneur who is very self-aware and loved to ask good questions. And he said, do you think delusion could ever be a good thing? And I said, I think it depends on the type of delusion. I said, it's unfortunate because there are people that I know personally that I do care about that are delusional from a place of self-worth. They have delusionally high self-worth, and they think that they are going to accomplish stuff that they're just not going to accomplish because they just don't think they have to try. Feeling guided is wonderful. I think that's important. Feeling guided is great. But feeling guided can also be to your own unfortunate detriment. And I think that's where delusion comes in. I think there's delusionally high self-belief, and I think that's a different conversation. Because that, as long as you don't take your standards and put them on everybody around you, because that was kind of my thing is, there's people out there that have delusionally high self-belief. They're delusional about what they can accomplish. Not meaning that they can't accomplish it, but meaning that maybe the majority of humans couldn't. And if they put that standard on other humans, they're probably not going to be very kind to other people. I think delusion can hurt other people. So it's almost like if you have delusionally high self-belief, my thought is maybe your delusion hurts other people. If you have delusionally high self-worth, it's probably going to end up hurting you in the long run, unfortunately. And that's why
it can hurt other people too, the self-worth one, because then you're entitled that you treat other people with less respect than maybe they deserve or things like that. But what an interesting question.
It was a great question. Based on questions. Last episode, questions.
I've asked Emilia this question many times. Because this is a question I always ask Emilia all the time. Literally once a week, probably. What is the disempowering belief that has disguised itself as empowering?
That's a great question. Couldn't have dropped that in the previous episode about questions?
Dude, honestly, man, I didn't remember till now, straight up.
Okay.
We probably should have a list of questions, like hyperconscious questions.
I feel like we should have. There's a lot of lists.
The Dreamliner 2.0 just launched. I actually just got my author copy. I didn't get it. I ordered it. It's actually a pretty long lead time, 2 weeks for the hard copy. But Lizzie, shout out to Lizzie, the head of director of products, she just uploaded the new Dreamliner 2.0, Next Level Dreamliner. You can type this into Amazon, Next Level Dreamliner. We'll put a link in the show notes.
Please.
And you can get your new Dreamliner 2.0. There's a question. Now, it's a 90-day Dreamliner. Achieve your dreams 1 quarter at a time. Breaks down your dreams into into goals, into milestones, into inch pebbles. We've talked about it in the past. If you want more info, there'll be a link in the show notes. But ultimately, we put together a list of questions to reflect on for all 90 days. So we actually do have a list. And
there it is.
Lizzie and she put it together, and then I reviewed it. And we did it together, and they're really good. They're really good. Yeah.
All right.
So anyways, the question that I ask Emilia is, what is the disempowering belief that has disguised itself as empowering? AKA, where are we delulu? Where are we delusional? We're optimists. We're super growth mindset. We believe in ourselves a lot. We believe that we can have a huge impact. Where are we wrong? That's a good question. Where am I inaccurate? That is the question right there. Where am I inaccurate? about self, about others, about the world. So she says delusion can be valuable. I know now why she says that. I'll be quick. When you're younger, if you grow up in a really tough situation, you might delude yourself into thinking your parents are good people because you need to believe that to survive. And the metaphor here is there's a cognitive bias that you can study about delusion where, let's say, a mother, the example that's used in this cognitive bias is a mother who refuses to believe that her son was killed in war. And she it's denial. Just complete psychological denial is the name of this cognitive bias. You just deny that that's the truth because the truth is too painful. So your system, your ego, your brain protects yourself from the truth because the truth is too painful. And so, yes, I think delusion can be a protection mechanism because a 7-year-old might not be able to handle a 30-year-old truth, right? And so I think that all of us growing up in different environments use delusion as a escape from harsh realities, and I certainly did. And that's why I loved movies, I think. I think I escaped into movies or into video games to try to cope with the harsh realities of existence. That said, as adults, assuming people are trying to be effective toward their goals and dreams, I actually think delusion is not good. I think there's an expiration date on delusion. I think you need to pursue accurate thinking about yourself, others, in the world, because otherwise you can't make good choices. So I playfully always say this, and this will be the last thing before I kick it to Kev.
You're good.
I say, okay, the Philippines has 110 million people with very little land. Canada has a ton of land and only 38 million people. If you go to Canada to buy land, that's a good decision. If you go to the Philippines to buy land, that might be a poor decision. And again, nothing against the Philippines, nothing against Canadians. Please don't take this out of context. My point is, the GPS needs accurate data of the terrain, otherwise you might drive off a cliff and then blame the world. What's the point of learning if you're not trying to get objective truth?
What if the GPS takes you a different way and you see stuff that you never would have seen, but you still arrive ultimately at the same destination?
So you're justifying a wrong turn.
Not a wrong turn.
You're right, not a wrong turn. A less optimal. That's what all of us are doing.
Different route.
Remember the loop of believe, implement, reflect, learn?
Yes.
That's what we're all doing. You and I mean, you at 16, right? You thought, Winnebagos, we're going to travel the world, I'm going to be in the MLB, whatever.
I assumed so, yeah. I assumed all that would have happened by now.
I'm going to have a beautiful wife and all this stuff.
I do. I have a beautiful wife, which I'm grateful for.
So you were right about one of those.
Everything else I was very off on.
Okay. If you had a mentor that could speak into you and you were open to it, it's a lot of ifs right there. Mm. That mentor could help you undistort what it would actually take to do that and how delulu you were. And therefore, you could have invested your time and effort more effectively and then ended up in a better place in reality rather than delusion land.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
You're less delusional now than ever, you'd say?
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Do you think you'd be in the same place you are today? You think you'd be further if you didn't have the delusions you had?
For sure. Absolutely. Way further. Wouldn't even be close.
Okay. Good.
I've made so many poor choices based on absolute delusion about people, places, things, and ideas.
But you also have extremely high self-belief, so it's different. It's different.
Yeah, because if you don't have belief, harsh realities are just pain.
Well, yes, but this is my thought. You have super high self-belief, which creates a level of delusion. I want to say a level, a flavor of delusion.
Mm-hmm.
How many wonderful humans have you and I met that are delusionally under?
Several.
Would it benefit them to be delusionally over for a season because they take shots that they would never normally take?
Yes, but, and this is I'm so glad we're doing this. It's a pendulum.
Yes.
So picture on the for a season, yeah, and I think that's what happens.
Okay.
I think what happens is, and I actually have a client who's going through this right now. he just had a couple big wins and he swung. It's like, brother,
Yeah.
like you're in Delulu land. You need to come back to reality. Like, so this is what happens. We all start out in life naked, scared, and ignorant. We don't know anything. We don't know ourselves, other people, or the world. We don't know how anything works. If you were born in China, you speak Chinese. You're born in the U.S., you speak English. None of that was a choice. You don't choose your parents. You don't choose where you're born. You don't choose, like, all of that. And you don't know anything. So you're this, like, blank hard drive with, yes, genetics is a component, okay? And then you start believing things and implementing things and then reflecting on things and learning. And one of the people in book club, shout out to Bonnie, she has a young child who's always on book club, so I need to try not to swear.
Yeah.
But ultimately, and he hasn't sworn because of me yet, which is good because he's talking now. And I said, do I have confirmation that he has never sworn because of me? And she said, yes, but
Yet was
he
the
has
word in
sworn,
there.
but not because of you.
Okay.
Yeah, no F-bombs from Little Bub because of me so far. But anyways, so he's a sponge taking it all in. He's learning about the world. He's learning about Paw Patrol, and he's learning about his mom and his dad, and he's learning about the world. He's currently delusional about most stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's 2 or 3 or whatever. I don't know how, sorry, Bonnie, I don't know how old Little Bub is. But he's growing and growing and growing. So he's undistorting his reality every time he tries something. So he tries to build blocks. They don't work. He's like, crap, maybe I'm not good with blocks. Am I? Am I not? So to answer your original question, people who are under, I think they would benefit from building self-belief. Meaning, if they had a mentor to undistort their reality, I'll use Christina as an example. When we first met Christina 5 years ago, wonderful human being. She was under. She's more capable than she thought, I think. And again, that's my opinion, but
Yeah.
I think it's true. So we helped her, encourage her to do more, take more shots, do more stuff. And then she learned, holy crap, I am more capable than I thought. So we actually got her out of delusion and more into accurate truth. And so when she got promoted to chief operations officer, she's like, Alan, I don't know if I'm qualified. I said, that's exactly why you should be the person. Kev, what are you doing over there, man?
I'm just taking off my sweatshirt. It's getting a little warm in the studio. You know what I mean? I let you live your life. Let me live my life, you know?
It was funny. Kev is like sneakily taking off
Yeah, I'm
his sweatshirt.
trying not to make a lot of noise. I'm trying not to distract you. Very clearly, I failed that Mission Impossible one there, but
No worries.
Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there.
But she said, I don't know if I'm qualified. I said, that's exactly it. The humility to admit that is why you are qualified, because this role is going to require tons of humility, and we basically have to fail forward for the next, 30 years. But ultimately, my point of this is that we encourage Christina to lean into her potential, and then she learns how amazing she actually is. And then maybe she swings over a little bit and then gets humble pie. So I think all of us are delusional.
Your belief is that delusion is not a good thing, ultimately.
Correct. Yeah, no, it's of course not.
See, I don't think I disagree.
That's fair.
I don't think I would have started this if I wasn't delusional.
Well, if that's the case, then why not be more delusional right now? Like, what's the point of this podcast if it's not to undistort reality?
It is, but I'm saying it served me. I never would have started this if I knew how hard it was going to be.
But that's the nature of the growth journey.
But I
You
think
never could have known in advance.
I know, so I think delusion served me. I do. I think delusion served me.
But only because it undiluted you.
For a season. Sometimes an injury makes you stronger than you've ever been.
You were delusional about what this would take, but you weren't delusional that it could work. And if I was mentoring you at the beginning, and I could be me now, mentoring you at the beginning, yeah, I would give you the level of truth you're ready for to continue to help encourage you to continue on the journey. But I might tell you, hey, Kev, Are you sure about this entrepreneur
I know,
thing, man?
unfortunately, you didn't know either.
I
You
know.
were also delusional.
I was delusional about people. I think you were delusional about success.
Alan used to live, our studio, when it was in Alan's mother's basement, was like 10 minutes away from McDonald's. And some of the times I look back on were when you and I would just grind out in the studio until like 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and then we would go get burgers, fries, and McFlurries. What a simpler time. I remember, I lived like a half hour away from the studio, from Alan's that's when the studio, or where the studio was. And I remember we worked late one night. It was like 10 or 11 at night. And I was going to leave. And Alan's mom was like, Kev, you can't leave. There's like a foot of snow. And I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going home. I'm not staying here. I've been here all day. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going home. And I remember Alan lived in the woods. I remember driving home on the back roads, and I had to get out, and I had to wipe off my windshield, my headlights, because the snow was coming up over my hood. And I had a WRX, so it was fine. I could handle it, but it was brutal.
Yeah.
Just a memory that I have.
That's something. Remember leaving the studio in snowstorms sometimes?
Yeah.
That was reckless. We've done
I
some
enjoyed
reckless
that,
stuff,
man.
you and
I
did
always
too. Yeah.
I always enjoyed that. So I don't know. Maybe we don't. Again, maybe this is one of those episodes where we don't have a conclusion. My belief is, I wish I was more delusional the other way for a time, not for the whole time, but for a season. I never thought I could be a speaker. I was delusional under.
But here's what you're missing from this. And again, I'm an engineer, so objective truth is my favorite thing in the world. Objective truth is I always say this, I playfully say it, but I was right about you. You obviously could do all this.
With you.
Yeah.
You have to take yourself out of the equation.
All right, well, you could be a speaker. With or without me.
But I never would have without you.
Well, that's the philosophical discussion.
Because I think you were delusional about me in the other way. I don't know if I ever naturally would have. You know?
You always could have, though.
I
No,
know,
I
but-
wasn't wrong about that. You always could have. You can't win the Olympics, dude, but you can be a speaker.
What about the speaking Olympics?
No.
What do you mean?
I think now you probably could, yeah. But, dude, do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I'm just teasing.
No, I know. But this is the thing that's so fascinating. And I was on with a potential client this past week who was talking about starting a business, and she's like, yeah, I think I want to start a business. I said, okay, what kind of business? And she started telling me, and I could tell. This is like something you're considering. You don't have to do this. You definitely don't have the drive. I'm sensing a lot of lackadaisicalness. I'm also sensing a lot of naivete. She has no idea what this is actually going to take. And I didn't want to take wind out of her sails, but I did speak truth into her life. And I said, there's 3 roads. There's the common one, stay in corporate, certainty, benefits. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the world needs corporations. The world needs organizations. The world needs people to work and build products and services. That's nothing wrong with that. The second road is the hybrid. You do half and half, and then eventually the long-term one pays for the rest of your life. And then you can go all in on it. Or you can do what Kevin and I did, which is jump ship, go all in, and basically almost die. And I said, don't do the third one. I can tell. Like, unless you absolutely have to. I'm telling you right now. And Kev, we're the lucky ones, man. You shouldn't have done this. And you know it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that I would have been injecting truth. Me injecting delusion made you go on a journey that benefited you, but what about the 99 other Kevs in alternative universe that died? Right?
I didn't know them. So R.I.P. to the homies, but I didn't know them.
R.I.P. to the homies. But do you see what I mean? Where
I do.
Truth is important to make good decisions, and I can't say anything otherwise because
I am closer to your end now after our conversation for sure, because that does make sense. And I do think there is an injection occasionally that might benefit you.
Yeah, fair.
But it definitely can't be it could be supplemental.
I knew you were gonna say it.
But even the smallest amount, though. When I think
it's like an
supplemental,
injection of adrenaline. You do it too much, and you're gonna die.
Yeah,
you can have a heart attack. But every now and then, in the right circumstance, you need a little EpiPen. Rock and roll.
Yeah, it's a hype your.
Obviously.
Yeah. I heard it on the podcast, so I did it. Don't do it. I think there's that moment when you're going into it. I don't think fake it till you make it. I don't think that. I do not agree with that. I think that's extremely dangerous. But feel yourself. A moment where you're walking into a room where you don't feel like you belong. I think a healthy, constructive amount of delusion. Not I am the best and everybody in here should be kissing my feet. Not that. No. Not.
You're saying a little healthy amount of ego. A little healthy.
Yeah. To make
swagger
up,
of a college kid.
Swagger of a college kid. Shout out to rappers. I think if it's enough to cover. Ooh, I almost. If
it's enough to get you to take action.
Well, I almost put myself into something that you would have then been able to use against me as truth. I almost said if you have enough delusion to make up for the delta in delusion you currently have, but then you would have just said, well, isn't that just getting you to reality? And I saw that, and that's how you know I'm playing 4, 5, 6, 7 steps ahead. So I didn't say it, but now I said
in the mental chess game that is this podcast.
It is. I have to come out of these episodes looking better than you every time.
Every time.
Undefeated.
You've managed it at least half the time.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, all the ones where we didn't interview people that were very intelligent. Those probably weren't my strong suit. All right, what would you leave the audience with based on the fact that we've added almost no value so far?
The GPS needs 3 things. It needs a current location that's accurate to be effective. It needs a accurate destination location, which is your goal. And it needs the accurate data of the terrain, which mountains, lakes, detours, roads, roads. Self-awareness is the current location. The goal, smart goals, is the destination address. And then accurate terrain is how things work and why they work that way. Objective truth, you never fully get there because we're all humans and we're all imperfect and we all have perception. That's why magicians can hoodwink us and make it seem like they're levitating. But
wait, they're not really levitating?
I know your joke.
Wait. Okay.
Imagine if you actually thought all magicians were really doing those things. Then you would live your whole life wondering why you can't levitate. It's dangerous. It's not good. And watch out for social media.
For a time, I was very into magicians, and I was into understanding what happened behind the scenes because it boggled my mind. I just need to know how. Just tell me how. How are we doing this? So, I had a season of that. And then one time...
You're trying to get objective truth.
One time, I was watching somebody who their magic trick was they get buried in cement in like a glass coffin, and then they escape, and they died on television. And I was like, that was too much. That was not cool. That when I was like I feel like I was a young child when I saw that.
Too much, yeah.
Too much. My goodness. All right. That
was live TV back then.
I think it was live. Yeah, I think it was live TV.
They only had like a 5-minute lag, or something. Wild times back then.
I don't know.
Live broadcasts, yeah.
Yeah, wild times. I would say that I would probably speak to somebody who is delusionally under, where you're actually really amazing and you're way more capable than you think you are. And sometimes you just need to have a moment of courage to do something that you normally wouldn't do. And maybe that's the delusion. I said that to someone recently. One of my podcast clients, amazing human. You work with this person too. And they were talking about how they have something coming up and they had a little bit of imposter syndrome and they didn't know what they were going to do. And I said, I'm at podcast movement right now and I'm struggling. I feel very similar in ways that you feel that you would never know. You would never know because I think people are probably delusional about what they think of me to a degree in some ways.
Oh yeah, for sure. Of course.
Right?
Yeah,
Let me break down that delusion for you and give you some truth so then maybe you can think more accurately.
In that case, you're not You're not diluting her.
I
You're
know.
actually...
And I know you were waiting to say that. And right when I finished saying it, I said, I set him up for a W. I should have kept going and just made up. Oh, but in this case, the root of the
system.
tree is actually parallel to the other one. All right. Group 16 is starting on October 8th, 2024, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to be more consistent, if you need extra, I don't want to say need, if you know it would be beneficial to have extra accountability in your life and you want to feel on fire and most likely the most fulfilled version of yourself in a minute, join our group coaching program. Amy is the assistant coach. She is absolutely crushing it, and the groups have all been on fire. And I think one of the reasons is Amy is on fire, and she is a wonderful, wonderful person to be around. So shout out to Amy for crushing. Alan has coaching slots available. Somebody actually booked a podcast breakthrough session from NLU based on the fact that I was talking about podcasting. So I do free podcast breakthrough sessions with anybody that needs help on podcasting. Again, we've learned a lot over the years, and we've learned a lot of what not to do. I'd love to add any value I can. We'll have the link in the show notes for that. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out